Swasti Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahi Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sahna Vavatu Sahno Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukh Bhagavave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Sai Ram. Welcome. Good evening to day 29 of the Atma Chalisa Parayanam. So yesterday we spoke about say yes to life. So no matter what is in store for us, no matter what is coming our way, every moment, every day, no matter what lies around the corner, once we understand that we are free, once we are beyond these attachments, we look forward to life. We have enthusiasm inside of us, and we are no longer in a defensive mindset. We are taking the bull by the horns, and we are ready for life. And we are ready for anything that comes our way. And we are always positive, and we say yes. Yes means accepting all that is coming, not fighting, not denying, not getting into self-pity. We are saying, come on, I am ready. And just with this readiness, just with this attitude, just with this change of perception, everything starts to change for us. And you will experience that things start to shift. We just need to hold on to that faith for a while so that it helps us to take the experience. Actually, faith's job is only till that time, till you get the experience. Like we were just chatting before the session started. Yesterday, Juneja uncle was not present, and he was traveling in the train to Washington, and he was trying to log on, but there was no internet connection. And his wife, when the session started, she was trying to tell me that, see if he's there. If he's not there, I have to record it. And I said, instead of putting our energy in trying to see recordings, he's there, and we will make sure that he will attend the session. And so today he just shared that right at that instant when these first prayers finished, At that instant, he got the internet connection and he listened to the entire duration of that. Okay. So, but if we were to keep fighting and, if we allow the mind to come in, the mind doesn't let us settle. The mind is always wanting its answers and it doesn't allow the consciousness to do what it needs to do. So therefore, for that time, faith is only for those who are still living in the mind. Once you transcend the mind and once you live only in the consciousness, then there is no faith required. Because remember I said there is knowingness and beingness. So we all have to go across, and that can happen only by direct evidence, prataksha praman, with our own experiences in our life. But if you will not experience, and if you will keep being in the mind, and if you will keep, as a beautiful message that Mr. Unni Krishnan sent today, it was very nice about the parrot and the man, and because the parrot just repeats everything, and the parrot is able to do, parrot is not using, it's just continuously doing, what is it's being told. But we often lack that clarity, and if we open ourselves up to go for the experience, and once we have the experience, there's no going back, because then everything shifts for us. So the struggle is only till that point. And till that point, we all have a choice to make. And our choices decide what happens to us. There is always, often they say, there are two roads leading. One goes to the left and one goes to the right? I don't know if any one of you have seen that movie Matrix. He talks of a red pill and a blue pill, right? So, which pill we are going to take in life will tell us what experiences we are going to have. And we take the pill of faith, we take the pill of moving ahead in it, even though we do not understand it fully. And despite the fact that we keep saying mind cannot understand it because it is not something to be understood, it is something to be experienced, and mind just does not have it in it to experience it. Yet we still struggle with it. And I think that's called a question of whether your time has come or not. And once that moment arrives, that against all odds, even a group like ours can come together and be at it for a period of 40 days. That itself is so amazing that, it tells you how all this works, and it works beyond the biddings of a mind. So if we can, because what's going to happen is in any case going to happen. So if we can accept what's coming our way, and if we can operate from the center of our consciousness, then this consciousness, which is nothing but love incarnate, starts to change everything for us. Because the mind is the heavy and dense part of us. Mind is where the sorrows and joys are kept, those temporary joys. So today, therefore, we're going to talk about happiness. I remember in the beginning of our sessions, somebody had asked me this question about why is it that we remember only the unhappy experiences? And why is it that we put so much of attention on our being unhappy? The answer of that is very simple, and that's what we are going to talk about today. The reason we give so much attention to unhappiness, and the reason why unhappiness disturbs us, is because unhappiness is not our natural state. Our natural state is to be happy. And so whenever we are not in our natural state, our state of being, we are uncomfortable and we experience a sense of discomfort, and that discomfort we call as unhappiness. And we are always wanting to get back into our natural state. It's like a child. Child is normally very happy, giggling with joy, playing with whatever it can get its hands on. However, the minute it either becomes hungry, or it wants something, or it hits itself with some toy, it immediately starts to cry. Crying is not the real nature of the child. The child cries to get the attention of the parents. And crying tells the parents and the mother that something is wrong with the child and that needs to be fixed. Whether the kid needs a food, or whether the kid needs to be cleaned up, or whether the kid needs some other attention. Same way, our unhappiness, which by now we know, comes to us from our mind. It comes to us because of our desires. It comes to us because of our expectations. It comes to us because of our attachments. It comes to us because of our ego. And whenever that happens, we do not like it. We are unhappy because something inside of us is trying to pull us back. Something inside of us is saying, this is what I don't like. And that's the reason we are always seeking happiness. That is why our real nature is Ananda. So what we are is what we seek. If we were full of unhappiness, then that is what we would be seeking in our life. But we are constantly yearning to be happy. And happiness cannot be practiced. Happiness cannot be bought. Otherwise, the richest people in the world should be the happiest people. But that we know is not necessarily true. When you look at a lot of poor people, especially in a country like India, there is so much of poverty. When you look at them, actually the lesser they have, the happier they are. Because they are just ignorant about so many other things, and just to get food 2 times a day gives them joy. So happiness is a state of mind. It's a state of being. It has nothing to do with what we have, who are we with. All this gives us temporary joys. When we buy anything new, buy a new iPhone, our happiness is as long as the phone falls for the first time and the screen gets cracked. Or when we buy a new car, till that time the first scratch comes on the car, just see where the happiness goes, right? All these things give you joy, but they give you very temporary joy. The same son, the same daughter, the same husband, the same wife is also a source of great joy and a great sorrow as well. So if happiness was to come from people, if happiness was to come from wealth and objects of desire, then of course the rich people should be very happy. But even a guy like Alexander was not happy, even after having conquered half the world, because he realized he had to leave empty-handed. So there is no connection to the people and object, but all our life goes towards satisfying both the people in our life as well as accumulating the objects. And in that pursuit, we are so outwardly consumed, and we keep flipping through the cycles of joys and sorrows, that we never ever go in search of the permanent bliss, which is within us, which is who we essentially are. And who we essentially are does not like when it faces those things that take it out of its inner state of being. And whenever there is unhappiness, it's actually a calling from the consciousness to say, I want to go home. This is not home. This is not who you are. And slowly it starts to come in our understanding. Our mind starts to understand that perhaps there is some other joy. Perhaps there is something else which is a source of permanent happiness, permanent joy, which we have not been able to fulfill or experience by the 5 senses running outwards. And that joy is really the essence of what life is all about, to experience that joy, to experience that bliss, to experience that which is effortless, which is natural, which is spontaneous. It actually does not require any conditionalities to be met. It does not require you to be with a certain set of people who you really like, or to have certain things with you at all points of time. It doesn't depend on that. And this is what we said yesterday. When we are really at home, which means when we are really with our own selves, when we are centered and we are experiencing that deep peace and oneness that Liliana spoke about yesterday, that is where we experience that joy. And that is the happiness that we are seeking. So there was this story that, the Upanishads talk about, and I'm sure most of you would have heard about it. But there is a story of this king who is in search of happiness. And he says, I have everything in this world. I have all the wealth. I have one of the strongest armies. I have children. I have queens. I have you name it, and I've got it. But yet I am not happy. So he called his ministers and he asked them, do you know anybody in our kingdom who is absolutely happy at all times? He asked his ministers, are you happy all the time? They said, no, we are not happy. He says, can you find me someone? Can you tell me how will I become happy? So they called a wise man. The wise man said, if you can find the shirt of a person who is happy all the time, and if the king wears it, then the king will become happy. So in the whole kingdom, these guys start to look out for this person who is happy and to get his shirt. So they keep looking, then they keep looking, and they keep looking. And everybody who they think is happy, but when they speak to them, that person says that I am not happy all the time. And then one day, they're in the search and they see this man sitting below a cart. He's a cart man. He has a horse and a cart, and he's sitting below it, and it's so hot, but yet he's absolutely in a state of joy, and he's resting over there. So these people come to him and they said, are you a happy person? He says, yes. He says, are you happy all the time? He says, yes. He says, okay, you come with us to see the king. He says, why should I come to the king? He says, because the king is going to reward you. He says, but I don't need the reward. He says, if you don't come, then the king will punish you. He says, I don't care. I am just happy. So these guys go back and they tell that they finally found a guy who's happy and who's not even responding to the threats or to the promises of reward. And so the king, along with all his ministers, he comes to see this guy. And he tells him that I'm the king. He says, so what can I do for you? And he says, I want to know the secret of your happiness. He says, if you share that with me, I will give you all the wealth that you need. He says, just go away. I don't need anything. And he throws him away. So the king says, this is crazy. I've gone and I've offered him and he's not interested. But the king is quite determined to know this. So the next time king goes without any of his servants, and he goes as an ordinary person. And then he again goes to this guy and he says, will you share with me the key of happiness? He says, had you come the first time without all your ego, I would have treated you well. Now you sit. He says, ask me what you want. He says, tell me, why are you satisfied just being a cartman? He says, because it just gives me a sense of joy all the time. He said, well, let me help you. Let me give you some more resources. And he says, what should I do with that? He says, then you in addition to a cart, you buy a boat also. He says, okay, what will I do with the boat? He says, you go fishing, you will get more fish. He says, okay, what will I do with the fish? He says, you will sell it, you will get more money, you can buy more boats. He says, and what will I do with all this wealth? He says, that wealth will get you everything. He says, what will everything get for me? He says, it will make you happy. He says, but I'm already happy. You must be a fool to try to offer me all this to a person who's already happy. All these things just don't matter. Now, in that story, if you were to reverse it around, that all our lives, actually we are running after all these things in order to become happy. And every time we reach there, we realize these things are not giving us happiness. These people are not giving us happiness. And if we are always in search of it, it must be something very intrinsic, something very basic. And we never bother to look inside of us to see whether the source of happiness perhaps is lying inside of us. So it's like that treasure which we have been always looking outside, but has always been inside of us. So happiness is our essential nature. That's why we have been searching for it. That's why we are restless. And happiness is who we are. Joy is our state of being. And everything that we have spoken so far is all interconnected and falling in place now. That as we go into this stage of being aware of our consciousness, all the worries, all the doubts, all the heaviness starts to lift. And suddenly we start feeling peaceful, nice about ourselves. And as Philippa said yesterday, you just feel good. You feel nice. That is where we are coming to. And our endeavor is that we should feel nice and good all the time, and not just, some of the time. Permanent happiness, permanent joy. That is called bliss. And that's the state that we have set to experience for ourselves. And that is what it means to experience that Godhood or that God or that universal consciousness inside of us. Okay? So the experiences that we know now very clearly that you should be able to identify when you say that you are operating out of your consciousness is the experience of peace, experience of contentment, and experience of joy. Once we are in this state and we remain in that state, we have realized our true selves, and we are now operating from the consciousness and not from our mind. All right? So that people ask, how do I know I have reached there? This is how you know you have reached there. And when this state becomes permanent, it remains with you. And as I said, you're always, this is what being at home means. You're in this state, undisturbed state of peace. no matter what comes, no matter what challenges life will throw to us in the next moment, we are ready and we are enthusiastic because there is joy in us and because we are anticipating life, we are accepting it, we are saying yes to it, and we start attracting magically everything in our life. And that's the experience that we have set ourselves for. And that's the experience that we are beginning to have. And that is what I had to share with you today. And I thank all of you so very much for being here and for making this happen. I keep sending you videos and all information which is supporting us on the journey. And it seems almost magical that every master is saying the same things that we have been discussing, except that, those are in glimpses. But if you've seen, we have picked up each facet of what it takes to make this journey. And we've gone in these last 29 days, we've gone in each one of them and we've examined all of them very closely. And I hope that has helped you a lot. And as we now move into the last 10, 11 days of intensifying this experience. So thank you so much. God bless you. I love you all. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. All right. See you all tomorrow evening. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day and a wonderful night. God bless you, Sarah.